Hello, I am BattleScar1313, and I usually don't do this, but I decided to do a face-to-face time review of Final Fantasy VII, the remake. While I'm a fan of the majority of Square Enix games, I couldn't quite grasp why this remake made me feel a little empty in the end. Maybe it's because of having 4 of every magic materia mastered. I noticed that the blue, yellow, and yes, even the purple material was limited. Materia is the main thing in Final Fantasy VII. And if you can see it, here it is. Well, let me get my camera right. In the original Final Fantasy VII, when you master materia, you receive a new level 1 materia as the same type as a reward. This left the ongoing leveling that despite most gamers hate, it is a reason to keep playing. With Chadley only holding up to 3 to 4 materials of a kind to be bought, after that, you were kind of left out of stock. Sure, you can almost buy every green material from Chapter 6 to 18 through a vending machine. HP ups and MP up materials max out to where the most you need is 8. 2 per character. 2 HP up maxed out is as good as it's going to get, because right here I will show you. Here's MP up, and it's the same with HP up. It says increases your max MP. The total boost is 100% when one is equipped. And with this at level 5, it gives you a max bonus of 50%. So you only need 8. 2 for each character. Alright, so the HP up and MP ups, they max out. And why aren't we able to do more? I'm sure we could have, 999 MP if we decided to, but we can't. Even with Magic Up, which is right here, when mastered, it boosts the Magic Up 25%, and maxed is a little out of place. The description says the magic stat will be boosted at a cap of 100% when more than one is equipped. But the game strictly says magic boosts of 25% is the highest it goes at level 5. So Magic Up will only go and boost your magic by 25%, and you only get 2 in the game. And I know that this is going to lead to DLC and why materia is limited so much. Not only that, but what irks me about Final Fantasy Remake, Final Fantasy VII Remake, I do now notice that the game is a direct sequel to this game right here. Okay? If you don't get it, let me help you figure it out. And it's going to take a lot. Right there. Okay? This is pretty much Crisis Core Part 2. Alright? And it's not that hard to understand, because if you played Crisis Core and you got the secret ending, you're going to know what I'm talking about. It's more of a reboot Final Fantasy VII than a remake or even a remaster. They took about 80% of the original story and threw in parts that we love, just enough to get the fans' attention. I love seeing Cloud, Aerith, and Tifa all over again, while Barrett seems like a total different person in the remake than I could ever explain. I like the weapon system. Whoops. Let me get out here. Let's check out this weapon system. Alright, I like the weapon system. It had no complaints with the side quests. I hear a lot of people mention searching for cats or killing rats was a kind of pointless thing, but it teaches us one important detail. If you want to be noticed on social areas, doing small things like finding a little girl's cats or helping a loved store in the area with a rat problem shows the rest of the people you're there to do good. It's this point where saying rescuing cats or having someone in real life get rid of a rat problem is pointless. It's not. To be a hero, you have to do little things to help you out or help the community out. You're the good guy. Remember that. You know. Um, so yeah, what else we got? The only thing about the story layout is that most of the time you get your story chapters, your fighting chapters, and your side quest chapters. There really isn't much to say this is wrong, but if you sum it up to a friend, it would go like this. You start out in a reactor, you blow it up, then you slow walk to Sector 7, then you slow walk to another reactor, then you slow walk to Sector 5, slow walk to Sector 6, then you go through the sewers slow walking. Then you literally do it all over again until you get the Shinra building, which is surprisingly empty, it seems. So let me go back up over here to the game, and I'm just going to prove the point. Chapter select, right? So you start off with the Mako reactor. You slow walk in chapter 2. You have your side quest chapter right here. Then you slow walk all the way to pretty much Sector 5. And you get to the reactor. Then you get a bodyguard, which also opens up another side quest chapter. So then you go to Wall Market. Then you go to the sewers. And then you're back in Sector 7. And then you do it all over again. Okay? Like, that's it. After you get to Sector 7 again, it goes from Haunted, Fight for Survival. Then you're back at Sector 5. Then you check out Sector 5. Then you go up the wall, which is expanded. It's still Sector 7's plate. Then then the last thing is you get the Shinra building, and that's pretty much it. So while this is a whole game capable of a lot, they actually just repeat areas in it. So to expand Midgar, cool, but to stretch it out, not so cool. All right, so let's see my list of things. All right, now I'm going to address the story in comparison to the original game's Midgar. The only things added was Jesse's hometown, which is on Sector 7's plate. It's a city above the slums you go to. Then every place you go to is the same as the original game. They just stretched everything out like it's a big game, when in the end it isn't. This brings me to my next point. Making the prettiest flowers does not make a good game. Square has been obsessed by making the best graphics so long that it doesn't matter what fans care about. How did we like buying all those reports in the earlier part of the decade of 2010? Some of them were ports from the Super Nintendo, but we loved them. Okay? I'm afraid to say this because Square does do a good job in making such Final Fantasy titles very unique to another. They're all different ways to use magic, summons, and stories, telling epic stories that make a new gamer cheer for years, it seems. They really do. Every title that they come out with, if you're a new gamer, you're going to be like, that was an epic story. All right. Let's just go back here on my game. Most people will say the first Final Fantasy they played was their favorite. Now, back to reviewing the game. Bosses are a key aspect in all games, and Square really just made the same mistake a lot of other games did, which can be used or to better or worsen the battle. And I'm talking about the multiple phases bosses have. If you get a boss down to 80% health, they change up to where your commands stop and you miss out on a possible limit break you could have dealt. If you know it's coming, you know when to use the limit break might be a bad idea for a little minute. Because a lot of the bosses in this game have like 3 phases. And there's nothing wrong with my hand, but I do 3 like that. But there's 3 phases, so if you get a boss down to 80% of health, then the next thing you're going to do, if you do a limit break, it's just going to cut out. And whatever damage you could have done, you won't do. Alright, battles in general weren't that bad. When I think of Final Fantasy, I think more on the fantasy part. And what gets me is the realism of the game gets me more than the fantasy. I play a Final Fantasy, I see fantasy in the title, but what surprises me the most is the realism that they put in it. And I love that you can cast fire or jump from unlimited heights. I love how you can have trouble with a certain enemy in 1 minute, then level up, and those now enemies are so weakened by your somehow buff self. Like 1 minute you're level 7 and it's hard, level 8, everything's super easy. I like that. They're great games. Don't get me wrong. I love these games. But the thing about this game's battle is that it is too limited. I know Square Enix is going to add DLC and make this game bigger than it is. We are capped at level 50. There are only 6 weapons for each character. Okay, that's a big thing. Then there is a 7th slot underneath every character's 6 weapons that is clearly made for like a DLC. And that's what I think DLC is pretty much going to have, is the 7th weapon and stuff like that for the characters. And with DLC, that will also leave up the magic up materia. It'll solve that whole predicament. Why does magic materia only have the capability of boosting up to 25% when it says in the title it can boost it up to 100% when more than one is equipped? You're probably going to get more magic up materias. Okay. Let's see what else I have to say. Reading this as I jot it down. My nose itches for some reason. I don't know. It's hot and sweaty in here. Alright. Anyways, I have a patch in players' minds what this game is. They should have released a Crisis Core for the PS4. They should have just ported it over. This would have summed up. If they released Crisis Core for PlayStation 4 before this a little bit, it would have gave the fans something to say, oh, this is a sequel to Crisis Core. I got it now. Alright. But at the end, I completed this game on hard mode and left myself here with nothing to do and waiting for DLC to come out or just find another game to play. Whether it be Remake 2 or anything. Just, I don't know why I'm stuck. The gaming market has changed a lot. In 2000, 2010, Square no doubt had the #1 spot in graphics. But thanks to every game having realistic graphics, I think Square needs to focus on how much content they put in their games. Famous battles like Fortnite, Call of Duty, Apex Legends, and other non-shooter games have almost an infinite gameplay. This is a game market, and for people who have no other reason to continue this remake, I wouldn't have minded a mode that pits you against enemies over and over again until you die, from fighting 6 behemoths or 6 Bahamets. But even if you won that fight, next would be 7 Bahamets and Shiva. You know, like, I don't know if y'all ever played Devil May Cry, but they had this thing called the Bloody Palace, where you had like 10,000 floors and it just got harder and harder as you went. And maybe at the end you give them something like, you know, some of those accessories, because the accessories are rare. Like, I've been able to get 2 circlets, but only 1 transference module. I think this is 1. Yeah. Anyways, accessories are even rare in this game. Okay. So Final Fantasy 11 and 14 did a great job in updating. So why is it hard to push content into this title? Is it because Square loves to make the best flowers, or are they bored with doing something they already did? We'll just have to wait for updates to see what their next move is going to be. So this is my little review. I'm sorry, this is my first time on camera. That's my review. I don't know what they're going to do, but it does make it seem like it is Crisis Core Part 2. That's all it is. And we will see Part 3 next installment. Thank you for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I will get back with you next video. Bye-bye.